The reason why you'd want to mind map a book is to make sure that you're not just getting your understanding through reading it, but you want to see where the flow of information is and where the knowledge is categorized under. And it's best done under mind mapping. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to use this book as an example. It's called Use Your Head, Speed Memory by Tony Buzan. So he's the guy that's the inventor of mind mapping. This software is called XMind Pro. So I'll go through it, go through some examples, and I'll show you how you can implement it as well. So I've got a PDF of a book here, and essentially what I go to first is the contents page. So there we go, table of contents. And I'm going to go to my mind map here, and the central topic is the book title. So I'll just put here speed memory. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to map out these table of contents. So, that's if I want the forward, but I'll just do it as an example. So as soon as I press enter, it creates another branch. So introduction, the history of memory. So you'll see I'll do this. I might just go one memory test system and so on, right? So I'm not going to do the whole book. All right, I'm just showing this as an example on how you can mind map it. So you do all the table of contents, right? Now, it depends on the book. I mean, obviously, this is just a 157 page, couple hundred pages. It's not extensive, right? If you're doing a textbook, right? Textbooks are usually a lot larger, anywhere from more than 300 pages, 500 pages, right? So you're going to have larger table of content. So your mind map will be a lot bigger. But I call this just the first level. So what we need to do is we need to add further levels underneath, right? And this is essentially what I do. So I go back to, so I'm not going to start with the introduction. I'll start with, you know what? I am going to start with the introduction. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try and find out, okay, what are the important bits in the introduction that I want to add in here, right? So for example, it's telling me what speed memory this book will enable me to do, right? So I can see that it says speed memory will enable you to remember lists of objects, not only in order, but any random order, names and faces, all that sort of stuff, right? So in here, I will write, this book will help me with, right? And then here I can just make the list, right? List of objects. I can do, what's it got? Names and faces. It's got speeches, scripts, and so on, right? They're all sort of listed in there. And then he's saying, there was a course compiled over the years. So this is something like maybe the origin, you might write origin of the book. It was from a course compiled over blah, blah, blah. So what you're doing is you're putting, the important bits, and sometimes it's paragraph by paragraph, but sometimes it's, multiple paragraphs as well. And then what you're doing is you're essentially mapping out what's underneath here, the important bits. If we go into the history, for example, right, you've also got subheadings, right? History of memory. And subheadings are great because what you can do is instead of going through and reading everything and mind mapping, you can just mind map the subheadings. So here, I might say, the Greeks, just to be accurate. And then the next subheading, right? It goes on for quite a while with the Greeks, the Romans, right? The Romans, and then the influence of the Christian church. And I'll just keep going. So here, it's got transitional periods. So I can cut and paste as well if I wanted to. There you go. So the 19th century, right? So you do the headings first. Once you've done the headings, then you go back and read what's underneath. So this is what you'll most likely be doing with a large textbook, right? To get in and try and understand everything and put all the headings and subheadings will take a little bit longer. Why? Because you're trying to make sense of it all. Whereas if you're just putting the headings, then what you can do is, let's say you've got a lot of headings underneath your book, you could start setting out what I call the skeleton. So the skeleton is the first level heading and usually the second level headings, which is these things, right? So essentially what you can do is you can go through the whole book without even reading it, right? You can go through the whole book and just put all the subheadings. Like we did there, modern theories will go next, um, and so on. So then we go to chapter one, right? So chapter one, it's got memory test. Then we can go link test as a subheading. Then we do peg test as a subheading, faces test, number test, and so on. We don't even have to read it. We just have to make sure that we're putting the headings down, right? So nice little pictures there for you. So card test. So it's got a whole bunch of tests, right? And then memory system one, right? Underneath that, you've got the link system, right? And so again, looking for the headings. If there's no headings, if there's absolutely no headings, then we do what we did in step one, right? You look back here and you're going, okay, what am I looking for, right? Having established what I hope was not a too disturbing picture of the way in which your memory is limited up to now, move on to the first method of improving memory. So this is just a segue into this technique, and he's introducing the link method. So, and it's obviously giving the definition. Link method can be considered to be the key word in memory. Word is association. Essentially, that's how memory works anyway. So it's just giving a little background in there. So you can just type in, okay, first there's a segue. You don't have to put the segue in there, but you say link method. What is it? You can just put your own little notes in there, and then you might be able to go in here and say, okay, maybe the word association is important, so I'm going to put that down, right? So as I start reading, I make it up just like I did here, but this only works if there's no headings. If there are headings, do those first, like I've done with the history of memory. And the reason for that is that you're now adding the whole book in there rather than going bit by bit, because this chapter, like in your actual textbook, might take you a very long time to go through. So the goal is to have everything mapped out first, all the headings, subheadings. Once you've done that, then the next stage is to add all the other bits and pieces. Okay, so once you've done that, then what's going to happen is that now you could solidify the knowledge when you go back and review. So hopefully that's given you some basic knowledge of how that works in setting up a mind map for content. We'll go through this in greater detail as well. So if you have any questions or anything like that, please let me know. So I will leave it there and we'll work on this particular book as well. So if you've got any questions, do let me know. Cheers.